This was a fun piece of news story. Funny way to start the day, nice and light. Climate protesters arrested over spraying orange paint on Stonehenge monuments. Two climate protesters who sprayed orange paint on the ancient Stonehenge monument in southern England were arrested Wednesday after two bystanders appeared to intervene and stop them. The latest act by Just Stop Oil was quickly condemned by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as a disgraceful act of vandalism. Labor leader Keir Starmer, his main opponent in the election next month, called the group pathetic and said the damage was outrageous.
Where the fuck do you get the balls?
Said, where the fuck do you get the balls? Spraying orange paint on Stonehenge. The incident came just a day before thousands are expected to gather at the roughly 4,500-year-old stone circle to celebrate the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. English Heritage, which manages the site, said it was extremely upsetting and said curators were investigating the damage. Just Stop Oil said the paint was made of cornstarch and would dissolve in the rain. Video released by the group showed a man it identified as Rajan Naidu, 73, unleash a fog of orange from a fire extinguisher-style paint sprayer at one of the vertical stones. This was like an old man who did this. These weren't like, so usually it's kids who do this.
Yeah.
As voices can be heard yelling, "Stop!" a person wearing a ball cap and raincoat ran up and grabbed Naidu's arm and tried to pull him away from the monument. A man in a blue shirt joined and wrestled the paint sprayer away. The second protester, who was younger, identified as Niam Lynch, 21, managed to spray 3 stones before the first bystander in the hat stopped her. Let's go to the tweet here, which they put out. Breaking, Just Stop Oil. They tweeted this out. Just Stop Oil spray Stonehenge orange. 2 people took action the day before summer solstice, demanding the incoming government sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030. Here's the video. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine being there when they do that?
Great for the cause. That's great for the cause, guys.
Great. Oh, just, I mean, social media really does allow you to document the stupidity of mankind. Like, it really brings idiocracy to everyone on their devices. Imagine being there and seeing that happen. Just, this very peaceful place surrounded by nature. And look at this fucking, wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, they say here, because they got a lot of backlash for this, obviously, the orange cornflower we use will soon wash away with the rain, but the urgent need for effective government action to mitigate the catastrophic consequences of the climate and ecological crisis will not. And so this got community noted. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. Lichen covers and protects the stones of Stonehenge. Damage to the lichen will mean that the stones are less protected from pollution in the environment. Contact with the stones is limited to protect them. So I guess lichen is like a fungus that grows on the stones that protects them from wind and weather erosion, and, paint. But I guess the paint, softens it.
All right, how far to the pyramids? This camel dong's not getting any lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll show them. Yeah, no, that's going to be very, very persuasive to people.
Yeah.
Damaging one of the collective treasures of humanity.
Of humanity, yes. This is like, what are they, 5,000 years old, something like that? Right? What are they, from 2500 BC, something like that?
Yeah, I was there when I was like 19. It was my first time in Europe. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So this is the website that community note links to. So the source is stonehengevisit.uk. Why can't all people touch the stones? So visitors were able to touch the stones. However, unfortunately, some people were carving names into the stones or taking small parts of the stones away as a keepsake or memory. Stonehenge was also laser scanned to understand the extent of the damage taken place to the stones over time, and it was significant, and people caused the vast majority of the damage. People harming the environment. That's why people are not allowed to fuck with the stones because people tend to harm the environment, which you think is a phenomenon Just Stop Oil might be somewhat familiar with. There were once carvings on the stones from axe work, but over time these have faded due to the constant touching of hands. Also, with people constantly touching the stones, the lichen that surrounds the stones, which is also protecting them, will be less able to grow and will mean that the stones are less protected by pollution from the environment. So people have not been able to freely touch these stones, according to what I read, for almost 50 years. I think in the mid-70s they changed the rule.
You weren't allowed when I went there, and that's about 50 years ago now.
Yeah.
it was a while ago.
Yeah. So the irony of the environmental group saying, hey, don't worry, that shit we sprayed on the rocks, that'll wash off. That's not a big deal. You're protesting human destruction of the environment by spraying shit on a natural wonder of the world. Or, I mean, it's man-made in the sense that they were built, but still, I mean, these are natural wonders. These are ancient rocks.
One of the great accomplishments of humankind. That's
in
not
interaction with the natural world, and then they're called out for harming nature. Don't worry, that shit'll wash off. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. These are the environmentalists. It's one thing to spray a painting. I mean, you shouldn't do that either. But a painting is, a man-made creation by a dead white person in most contexts. But this is, you're literally vandalizing a natural monument. And then saying it's no big deal, the paint will wash off.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that with paintings either.
No,
it's
a
question of what is your intention. If your intention is to persuade, which it should be, who are you persuading? Who do you think you're persuading? All you do is create enormous backlash against your cause and the people who represent it by doing this. Whether this is to Stonehenge, whether this is to a Monet, these things are the collective repository of human experience, human memory, and human achievement. You're fucking with one of the few things that most humans can agree on, that most humans take a certain pride in. The most racist fucking person in the world will never be like, fuck those pyramids.
Right. Exactly.
It's the one thing we all take pride in as our collective human legacy, particularly, as you point out, when you're talking about something like Stonehenge, which is not, Le Grand Jatte. It's not this modern painting by a dead white man, as some would have it. This is part of the collective inheritance of humankind, one of the oldest monuments on Earth. Who do you think you're persuading? Now, if this were going to effectively accomplish your political aims, we could have a conversation. But do you honestly believe that? And if you do, maybe politics isn't for you, because you're probably too fundamentally stupid to be contemplating matters like this if you think this is an effective tactic.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I see some people in the chat. I don't mean natural monument in the fact that they naturally occurred in that shape. They were obviously assembled, but they're old stones. You're harming the environment. You're taking the fungus off. It means
it's not an oil painting.
Right. It's not a painting. Right. Exactly. Right. It's not a painting in a museum. It's outside in nature, and you're going and you're defacing nature, basically, and then saying, it's no big deal. It'll undo itself. That's the argument that the anti-climate activists make. Hey, fossil fuels are there to be mined.
Please clap.